And we welcome you to another edition of This is Wrestling. It is Lee Versage alongside Zach McGibbon all the way from Belleville. Zach, how are you?
Doing pretty good, Mr. Versage. We are here. We are talking some pro wrestling. We are continuing to be on the road to WrestleMania for the WWE fans. I don't know what road we're on right now for AEW. We're on a road to, I guess, the Dynasty pay-per-view that's going to be coming up. But there is certainly some things happening in pro wrestling. Looking forward to talking about it here today.
Yes, we got some more people inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Which should be interesting to talk about. And this is always the time, like, as we lead to WrestleMania. And I think AEW does a pretty good job at understanding that part of it so that they have to counter. We see a lot of like in-depth interviews right now. Like Brock Lesnar is on Spittin' Chicklets and Cody Rhodes is on Pat McAfee. And, you know, Kyle Fletcher's over in England promoting, and Renee Paquette sitting down with Cope and Christian. Sorry, Cage and Cope. I apologize.
Cage and Cope. That's right.
So the shirt
says on the shirt. Yes.
Yeah. So I think those things are interesting, and you got to pick out what's, I guess, like most of professional wrestling, what's real and what's not.
That's right.
Out of those interviews. Where are we going to start, Zach? Sometimes I just go around the horn and start with things that you would never think. Like people who have emailed the show. versagelee@gmail.com. Our guy, Richard.
Yes.
Long email, but said he didn't know if it was appropriate or not, but he wants us to look at the Canadian TV show called The Ropes and maybe Zach, break it down.
Whoa.
I know.
How about that?
I could get into that.
Yes. Canadian content. And
do you remember The Ropes?
To be honest, I did not know about The Ropes until it was shared by Richard. And then I looked at some of the cast and whatnot. And one of the people, there was one person I recognize on there, Johnny DeLuca, who's one of the actors. He's a wrestler on the independent scene.
Yes,
and so I didn't know, I didn't know he was involved with this project. So, I saw it. It's like, oh, this is cool. And it's based in Kitchener. And so I saw that you forwarded me that email as well from Richard. And I saw that's like, oh, I didn't even know this was a series that was happening. So I'm going to try and see where I can find this series. I don't know about you. I was trying to Google search. I think it's on that Bell 5 TV service. Like it's a 5 TV exclusive, but I'll find it. We'll find a way. And I'll see if give it a watch. Who knows? Maybe we'll review it. You never know.
The Bell 5 TV app, is that where it is?
That's like where I initially saw it. Yeah, not Crave or anything like that. Just the Bell 5 app.
Well, I have that.
Oh, there you go.
That's fantastic news.
Yes.
I'm going to tell Richard that we are going to endeavor to do this, even for our own fun. And then we'll see how much we do on the program about it.
Yep.
Depending on how good it is.
Yep.
But, and how worthwhile it is. But if it's a tough watch for a lot of people, that becomes the difficult part, right? That for like, we can watch it, but if those that are listening don't have the ability to watch it, I don't know how long we can talk about it, but Richard, you are never, one of the things he said in his email, like, I don't know if I've overstepped my bounds. Like, come on, you're part of the program. Like, Richard, come on.
We love it when we hear stuff from the listeners. So absolutely, we are always looking for new stuff. The fact that I didn't even know about The Ropes until Richard sent me that email, and now I'm searching through. It's like, oh, Canadian produced, and I wanted to see how the acting performances are, and Kitchener based. So absolutely send in stuff. You don't think that people like Ben Soublier send us stuff all the time about stuff we should be talking about?
All the time. We ignore a lot of it, Richard, but not you.
Not you. I guess while we're on the path of people sending us stuff, I don't know if I had forwarded you the tweet I got from Postman Yan.
Yes, you did. But read it. Go ahead. I'm eager. By the way, Kitchener, went to school in Kitchener for many years
There
at
you go.
Sir Wilfrid Laurier University. So I'm going to find out everything about the ropes, like where exactly it was filmed, why I wasn't invited as an alumni of the town.
Right.
But looking forward to checking that out for sure.
Yeah, we'll give it a watch. The one thing is that it doesn't seem like it's widely available, so it's at least a tougher thing to navigate for me.
One of the things on that Fibe TV, if you go on demand and you find kind of the Bell Fibe only stuff, you got to really dig for it.
Yeah,
like it's not easy, but in saying that, you can find some, quite frankly, some diamonds in the rough. Like,
yeah,
I've watched a bunch of, God, I can't even remember what promotion it was in Halifax.
Okay.
And it wasn't very good, but it wasn't very good at all.
No.
However, you can see where people are putting their efforts in, and there's a lot of stuff I think that you can find. It was actually a really good, speaking of Halifax, there was a really good, I guess, shorts on a guy just going to Halifax, and he's going to uncover the history of the significant pubs in Halifax.
Oh, cool.
And, he walks down the road. Oh, this one, 1855, and he's got the owner and, the pirates that used to rule the city, and this is where they drank. And it's pretty interesting because they're only 12, 13 minutes a pop. Shorts. So
right.
Cool. There is some interesting stuff, but you do have to dig very, very deep.
Yes. I'm surprised Bell wouldn't have it just be part of Crave. But I guess, as we know with Bell, sometimes they make decisions that's
listen, you said that, not me. I don't know that legally I'm allowed to. However,
talking to your collar.
But what I would say is, and I mean this as sincerely as I possibly can, some of these shorts TV series, they're not quite maybe to the Crave TV professional level, if that's fair.
Fair enough. Yeah.
They are very independent on their own stuff that I think they probably feel like we're not gonna marry these things, because if someone's on Crave and they're watching, by the way, Sullivan's Crossing season 4 came out on Sunday, and oh boy, drama.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Zach, it's if you can believe this, on a TV show about a camp near the water with Chad Michael Murray, who was on The Hills and is one of those kind of child actors that has come up, and all the, good looking guy. A lot of the women liked him growing up, and now he's older. If you can believe this, stuff happens on the show that doesn't make it always like a happy place at Sullivan's Crossing. But I was there. I was there. I was singing the theme song on Sunday night. Like, let's go. Season 4.
In.
I'm in. I'm totally in. So
yeah.
I don't know why we're off on this subject, but really, I'm telling you that if Sullivan's Crossing on there and they're promoting the things on Crave, maybe that's not the place that people are paying for it. That you're like, I'm going to put these like weird independent shot in your backyard type stuff. Not that I'm saying the ropes is like that, but there are other things that are not the best produced TV segments I've ever seen.
Right. It's not going to be, it's not going to be shown beside the Sopranos on the front page of a
right.
Yeah.
You got to dig deep. Okay, Richard, we will be digging deep for the ropes, though, just for you. What did Postman Yan have to say?
Well, Postman Yan, he sent us a tweet. Again, you can find us on Twitter at TIW_audio. No, I will not call it X. I'm not going to correct myself. And so Postman Yan, he sent us a tweet, and it stems from the debate we had. It was you and I. Tanner was on the episode as well, but it came to Hangman Page and the stipulation of him no longer challenging for the world championship. Mm-hmm. And so he sent this tweet, and it's funny as I read it again, it feels like he's typing it down and then realizing this idea that he's putting forward.
It's a little, it's out there.
Yes.
But look, for people on this show, the last thing in the world we would ever want to do is like cave in their creativity. Like, we don't want to put a limit. There's no ceiling on the creativity that are in some people's minds, and all suggestions are allowed. We'll see if we like it from Postman Yan. Let's go ahead.
This is the creative meeting right now, where we're taking in the ideas. We're sitting back in our chairs. Our laptop is up, and we're taking notes. So in this case, Postman Yan says,
sorry about that. Sorry to interrupt, but better than Road Dogg, Postman Yan actually has a suggestion.
Correct. Yes.
All right.
Postman Yan says, hey guys, so I heard the Hangman debate and how he may get back in the title picture eventually. I had a thought, a horrible WWE type of BS thought.
Oh, Zach's going to love this.
I know, I do. As soon as I read that, I was like, oh boy. Didn't Hangman say something about not competing until his first breath or something along those lines? What if they do a legally dead angle where he is legally dead and therefore he can compete again? Like I said, a horrible idea, and I trust Tony, but wrestling has a way of doing ridiculous things sometimes.
I'm going to let you handle that one, Zach. What I would say is that, just to preface what Zach is going to say, I don't know Postman Yan. I have no idea.
Yep.
I don't know the thoughts that are going on in Zach McGibbon's head right now, but I will tell you that for all of the goofiness the WWE does, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, Tony Khan and AEW would like to be different and not go down the kind of crazy road. I know they've done some things, including Hangman and Swerve, burning down Swerve's house.
Yes.
And sticking a syringe in his mouth. They've done some crazy things, but to me, and I don't love them. To me though, with the Hangman burning down Swerve's house, it did at least give you an indication of how deep their hatred and their feud went and what they're capable of. And that's one that I didn't mind. I mean, I don't like the syringe at all. And then they did it again and I still don't like it. But the point is that for the most part, when you watch AEW, you get pretty good professional wrestling. I don't know that Tony Khan is going to have Hangman Page die and then come back as some other, like a different soul in the same body to get that title match. That would be my thought, Zach, that I don't think Tony Khan would go down this road.
Yes. I'm going to say, Lee, that's not going to work for me, brother. That's not really feeling this idea. I'm going to say, yeah, and I know we're spitting ideas out there, and I'm glad you're contributing. I'm not going to be Triple H and like ask you to explain it further and just just yell at you or anything like that. I'm just going to say, Postman Yan, even you in your posts, kind of like as you were writing it down, was like, oh, this is probably not going to. But I understand, in the creative type situations, you just let ideas fly. And, sometimes you do that and something hits. We've seen it be the best when it comes to that. And we've seen it be some of the worst in professional wrestling history when it comes to that, because the idea of David Arquette winning the WCW World Championship was something that was just thrown out there by Tony Schiavone in the creative meetings. Like, why don't we just put the world title on him? And Vince Russo, in his sheer brilliance as a creative genius, was like, bro, that's a great idea. That's it. Think of it being on the front page of USA Today, bro. Like, That's what we got to do. So, yeah, and I'm going to have to say no on that one, brother. That's going to be the next day on that. You know, I was thinking about it. It's like, you know, the way it's like you bring him back from the dead. How about we have this like character? He's like a dead cowboy, right? Rising from the dead. He's got like this gone or something like that he comes out to. He has this very slow walk and there's this smoke that comes out. And he's got this like vibe to him. And
this feels very Midnight Rider-esque.
Maybe a little. Maybe, but I'm thinking this could be like one of the best gimmicks ever, sort of deal.
Oh, okay.
And like a lasting figure. I mean, something like, you know, he's walking down and then smoke and then he lifts up the hat and his eyes roll back in his head and like doesn't have to be too much. He could do like a choke slam. He has this like pile driver that he could use. I think we could call him like the Undertaker.
Oh boy.
And he could really like, how about you like build up a streak, you know, like if you want to get him back.
You're done. You know what? Your bit's done. All right.
Okay. All right. Just like my Postman Yan's idea, my idea is just be shot down. And
it is, but
this is why you don't pitch stuff in the meetings. My God.
Got to be a limit on it. No, Zach, you've been heard. Postman Yan, you've been heard.
Yeah.
Take those ideas into consideration.
Yes. And we'll never talk about it ever again.
Probably not.
No.
When you were first describing it, Midnight Rider, for those who don't know, when Dusty Rhodes was in the NWA and all of a sudden he was gone. And then a guy came back looking exactly like Dusty Rhodes, but with a mask on and a bull rope and called himself the Midnight Rider.
Yep.
That worked in the 80s, I suppose.
You could talk about Mr. America with Hulk Hogan. And though people will tell you that was two separate people, and they did segments talking about how they were two separate people.
Everybody's thinking El Grande Americano, and there's like 5 different ones.
Yeah, there's like there's literally 5 different ones now.
Yeah.
It's like the original one's the heel for some reason. I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah,
like,
I haven't.
Why is he the one the heel?
I haven't wrapped my head around that, but with all the masked men that are running around in the WWE with like 20 different ones, the El Grande Americano thing is secondary to me. I haven't, even though it's a problem that needs solving. I don't need to solve it now.
No, probably not. Who knew the key to expansion in Mexico was just to put an American and a German person under a mask and call them El Grande Americano?
Yeah.
Wow.
So just to kind of continue the conversation in a serious way, I'll give the superfan credit because he was still on me after the last episode of like why I'm so down on the stipulation and Hangman can never challenge again. I guess it's because maybe like Postman Yan really reaching, there isn't something in my mind that I think they can pull off legitimately that completely just has my trust back. Right? Like how, if they're going to give Hangman Page another title shot, how are they going to do it so well that they're going to earn the trust back to go back on the stipulation and keep that trust with, you know, an avid fan like me? I don't know the answer, but one of the and he finally, it's like the last thing he has said this week. He's given me, 14 ridiculous things, but 28 ridiculous things. Like it's just ad nauseum, like stop. But then he finally came up with something. And that something is, and maybe he's pitched it to you too, but we'll pitch it out there.
All right.
That if Hangman Page were to turn his attention to, say, the Continental Championship and win the Continental Championship and like bludgeon everybody, and Swerve ends up somehow, some way, or MJF, I guess, still being the world champion. But as time goes on and Hangman Page is starting to, and by bludgeon, I mean like he's just beating everybody. And all of a sudden the contenders for that championship start to stand up, that Swerve goes after it, or Will Ospreay or Kenny Omega or Andrade or whoever is at the top of AEW, Kyle Fletcher. And Hangman's turning them away and turning them away. And all of a sudden, the Continental Championship, because of the feuds, the prestige, ends up being like superseding the world title. And you get maybe a pay-per-view or two that the world title goes on second last and the Continental Championship goes on last, because people are more excited about Hangman Ospreay than they are, say, MJF Brody King. I'm just, throwing names out. And so much frustration grows with the world champion. They're getting overlooked. They're not getting as many opportunities. They're getting overshadowed. And everywhere they turn, it's like, no, I'm the world champion. Well, the Continental Champion going on last. That's a bigger match than you. And you can even get some of the company involved. I know you love the power, the superpowers of the companies, but you can get them involved in saying, hey, look, people care more right now. There's more anticipation about Hangman Page and Will Ospreay for the Continental Championship than there is you, MJF and Brody King. Sorry. So you'll go on second last, but that's okay. And there's just so much frustration growing that finally MJF or Swerve, one of those two, I think, as heels, just decide, okay, enough is enough. Like, this guy is going on with another title and he's taking all of my opportunities. He's taking everything from me that I've earned as the world champion. And the world champion says, I want to challenge for the Continental Championship because I'm tired of being overshadowed. And they step in and they say, okay, but all the titles are on the line. Your title, his title, everybody's title. And it's a way for Hangman Page, and maybe he wins that match. And maybe he becomes the world champion, but he never wanted it. He never was the one that went and said, I need to challenge. It was the jealousy and being overshadowed by either MJF or Swerve, whichever one you want to pick. And then finally saying, like, no, I need that championship because I'm tired of hearing about you and I'm tired of being overshadowed. I'm like, okay, but you got to put yours up too. Like, it's just what do you think about that idea to get out of the stipulation?
I like that idea quite a bit because you could build that up over time too. It doesn't have to be something that's immediate. Mm-hmm. Like, you could build that up with Hangman, whether it be, in this case, this scenario, the Continental Championship. You could have that be built up over time. He establishes it. You know what it reminded me of as you were kind of explaining it? And I think you will appreciate this reference, Lee, as a fan of ECW.
Yes.
Is Rob Van Dam with the television championship. Yep. And how he elevated that belt, and they were going to do a match for a television championship of the world title. Then RVD got hurt and totally, the plans just fell through after that. But that's what it kind of reminded me, the way that you outlined it, is that RVD, he made that belt like his thing. And people are like, oh, RVD is on that same level as the world champion because he's going out there and having all these matches and he's one of the best of the company and everybody knows it. And now he's going to finally challenge for the world championship. And so I think you could do something similar with that, especially with the thing about the belts argument that we always hear. And yes, there is a lot of belts in pro wrestling right now, just in general. I would like to see a lot less belts out in pro wrestling right now. But if you're going to do a lot of these belts, you have to try and make sure you find a way to make those belts be unique. And at least with the Continental Championship, that belt is unique because it has its own set of rules behind it that people can follow. Be like, okay, this is like this one. There's no run-ins during the title matches. There's a certain time limit on these title matches. Mm-hmm. So that makes it even more special because then you have with Hangman, he's been able to defend the belt even with all these things against him that come with the belt. He's been able to defend the belt and obviously put in very good matches on top of that. So I really like that idea. And then it all culminates into champion versus champion, and you could really sell that for a pay-per-view too. So my thing has always been with the stipulation that you want to stick to it for a lengthier amount of time, because that's what made the Hangman MJF match work, is because people bought into the stipulation. And so if it lasts 2 years, 2 or 3 years, I think people would be okay with it at that point. Say, you know what? They stuck by the stipulation. We know it means something, to where if they wanted to go back to it in a future match, it would still mean something for a future pay-per-view.
And as you were talking, it got me thinking that I'm not sure that I've seen a company make other champions look just as good or better than ECW did. So it's a great example from Rob Van Dam and that television championship, because he was on TV defending that belt like it was a world championship and taking on all comers and having, 5-star frog splash, 5-star matches with people. There was a time that Taz had that television championship, and I felt like it meant just as much as the world champion because of the legitimacy that Taz was coming across with in ECW. And I would say, there were other, like Shane Douglas had the television championship. He did a wonderful job with that. So as I think about the ECW reference, I then begin to think, who went to all the ECW shows as a kid? Who is that?
Well, Tony Khan did go to some ECW shows.
Tony Khan. His love of professional wrestling came up through ECW in the 90s. That's where it's rooted. So if I go back and say, in the last 30 years, a company has not done a better job at making some of the other titles as significant as possible, like ECW did. They did a tremendous job with that. Short time period, like in the kind of 4 years after they were Eastern Championship Wrestling to Extreme Championship Wrestling, before they started to get into the sort of TNN days and Spike TV days, where it just, became a bit of a mess and everyone went to WCW and WWE because they were paying everyone to come. But there was a time that those belts in ECW meant a whole lot. And I wonder if Tony Khan is trying to dip into that to bring this stipulation back. But that is one thing, as you said, the scenario that I painted for you, and I think that's what Ben was trying to tell me over text. Sometimes I don't always interpret text the best, or if you can believe this, sometimes people don't text properly.
That as well.
But you could do this. Like, this is an idea that you would do over a long period of time. Like, in order to, first of all, get a belt on Hangman Page, and then for him to bring it up to that level is going to take a long time to establish getting it, how dominant he is, some of the opponents, and then all of a sudden on the big shows, that title is superseding the world title. That takes a while. That takes maybe a couple of years.
Yep.
To be able to do. And it's at that point that Hangman really has no interest in gunning for the world title, because he's made that title like the world title even better. And everyone kind of thinks that.
Yep. And honestly, it's kind of similar to, it's funny because then people will probably hear that and bring it back to when Cody Rhodes won the TNT championship in that tournament over Lance Archer. And then he was going out there defending that belt too. I think the thing people have to remember with Cody Rhodes, and why, like, yes, the stipulation didn't help, of course, but one of the things that also kind of went against is Cody was kind of weird in the final months of his time in AEW. There's a lot of weird stuff that happened, like the promos that he was cutting and some of the matches that he was, because he was clearly booking his own stuff in AEW. Like, now at the time, I was the biggest Anthony Ogogo fan because I thought he just had a look and I loved his promos, but he could never get his wrestling ability up to a level that you would hope for for a guy that had that sort of stature and that background, of course, being in the Olympics. And it was clear that Cody wanted to do something with Anthony Ogogo as well, where he put him in a match. And obviously that didn't work out. It was very weird. It was the America versus the UK angle. I didn't realize how heated that rivalry was between America and the United Kingdom, but I guess we were figuring it out in real time in that feud. And then just some other stuff with the Nightmare Factory and all these different things. And then the final matches with Sammy Guevara, like, it was all very weird during that time. So while yes, the stipulation certainly didn't help, it was also Cody was just a bit weird at that time and people were booing him and just, and I think you're starting to see it now in WWE where that's starting to linger a little bit. And you're starting to see what got people booing Cody at the end. It's starting to, ripple through in WWE a little bit. So I feel like Heyman has more of the capability to maintain his push and maintain his level of crowd reaction than I think a Cody would. Just because he's been that guy for so long. Even when he was a heel, there were still people that were kind of cheering for him because he was that central focus of that promotion. So, all that to say, I quite like the idea, and it's something you could do for an extended period of time. And for all the things about Tony Khan that people like to say, the guy absolutely knows wrestling history. One of his nicknames is Mid-South Tony, because he loves Mid-South wrestling. Okay. Like he watches a bunch of stuff. Sometimes it doesn't translate to the TV like we saw on Dynamite after Revolution, where I was like, am I watching Monday Night Raw here in some of these segments? Like Jungle Boy's coming out of a bus and the Luchasaurus is driving it. And some of these promos are weird. And Swerve Strickland's sitting on a chair staring into my eyes while it's dark behind him. Like, what are we doing here? But in other aspects,
also
AEW is that's bad.
Sorry to interrupt, but Rocky Romero in the main event of the Dynamite following one of the greatest wrestling shows of all time to me. Like,
well, look, somebody's got to eat the pinfall. I get it, but
come on, in the main event, because your main event is a weird promo battle with Pope and Cage.
Yeah, that was also very weird.
It was just awkward and weird.
No energy, and
why would it be a main event segment?
I don't know. I don't know why it would be a main event segment in that scenario. So
I have no idea.
Yeah, but it's not like the WWE programming has been overtaking AEW in recent weeks, though. Like,
no, but look, just because the WWE isn't great lately, you have to evaluate. Like, if you're going to sit here, which I did, and say that the AEW Revolution show was one of the best shows I have seen from beginning to end, it was an incredible show. It is your job to follow that up. If you have one of the best shows ever, like I'm telling people, if you missed it, you have to go back and watch it. Non-wrestling fans, you have to see this show. I would not be showing them Dynamite afterwards.
No.
Right? And that's your job, is to follow it up. And they deserve some criticism for that, because just some weird stuff, as you said, with the Jungle Boy and the bus, and that promo was really weird. You had Will Ospreay come out to a not as great of a reception as possible.
Yeah, that crowd wasn't very hot either.
No,
it was not a hot crowd.
And you got to know that. You also have to, like, for me, Will Ospreay wrestling Blake Christian and Blake Christian getting in all kinds of stuff on him. Maybe you want to just see if he wants to take a few bumps, but I still thought it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
The main event was super weird, having Rocky Romero in it and him eating a pin and then having a promo afterwards that just was, you could have done it anytime. I don't know. Not a very good Dynamite following the show. They deserve some criticism for that. And now,
absolutely.
And now, well, we didn't even talk about the fact that they had a match or a promo segment about a match on a pay-per-view that apparently Brody King and Swerve Strickland was for the number one contender spot that nobody told us.
Oh.
And then Kenny Omega does a promo saying that he wants that number one contender spot from Swerve Strickland, and everyone I don't know. I'm looking around going, why is Swerve Strickland the number one contender?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Like, how am I supposed to know that? And then Swerve's like, well, I didn't really know it either, but I guess I am now. And if you want my status, I want your EVP status. And now, as we're recording this, we're not too far away from, I'm guessing, Swerve Strickland beating Kenny Omega and getting EVP status. Why? There's no way they'd bring it up without him getting it, right?
I would have to think so.
Like, they're just going to put it in a stipulation and then Kenny's going to win and Kenny's going to be the number one contender and Swerve is just, man, I wish I was the vice president, but I guess I lost.
Yeah. Signing checks and sitting at his office. And
that would have been great, but I lost and that's it.
Yeah.
Like that would be really weird for them to bring up.
Yeah.
It was just very discombobulated. Everything was, man, you come off this incredible show and you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
So
just a weird show.
It was a very weird show. So moving on here a little bit, I'm just going to hit you with some random stuff.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
Like, and we'll just get some thoughts on things like Sid Vicious gets inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame 2026. Good idea to do it after Sid has passed away? Is this a good idea to put him in now?
I don't see why they couldn't have put him in while he was alive. To me, he fits the criteria of the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, I've been on record before saying I really don't care about the WWE Hall of Fame because of just some of the people that they induct and whatnot. So I'm not as like, oh, I can't believe like this. I'm like, it's the WWE Hall of Fame. It's something that for wrestlers, if they're alive, which is a kind of a sad statement, but if for wrestlers, it's a way that they can market themselves when they go out on the independent circuit or they go on the convention routes or whatever. Like I got linked to the Niagara Falls Comic-Con and they've got a bunch of Hall of Fame people. And of all people I saw, by the way, a totally random note, I saw that Kato Kalin of all people is signing autographs at the Niagara Falls Comic-Con. I was like, what? Why would you invite Kato Kalin of all people? Like, what has he got to contribute? Well, because he had some interesting testimony during the OJ trial. Like, I didn't understand that. But it's like Kurt Angle's in there and Great Khali of all people, Big Show. Like, they all get to have these WWE Hall of Fame monikers. I know Big Show doesn't have it, but eventually I would imagine he would get it. So it's a marketing gimmick is what I'm trying to say. In the case of Sid Vicious, I mean, to answer your question, like, I don't see what had them just continue to postpone his induction. To me, like, in terms of their criteria and some of the guys that have gone in, he fits that mold of a WWE Hall of Famer type. He was somebody that was synonymous with the 90s era of wrestling. And the fact that they're kind of putting him now only a few years after he's passed, and it's also a legacy induction too. Like, we don't know if it's going to be, if he's going to get the full speech treatment where he's going to have family that speaks for him and all that. So that to me is where I start to ask questions, right? It's like, oh, we're going to induct him, but it's a legacy induction. Like, it's somebody from, many years ago. We're not going to have the family out there, but we're just going to put him in our Hall of Fame. And there's been times with the Hall of Fame in the past where some of the families of those legacies inductions weren't even aware that they had a family member that was going into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So that becomes a whole different issue. I will say in terms of the wrestler, Sid Vicious, I said it when he passed and I'll say it again. I think that guy, like, was he a good wrestler? No, he was not. But he was awesome still. Like, I thought Sid Vicious rocked because he was a totally different kind. He was, to take a phrase that we say on this podcast, he was a vibes guy where he just would come out and he was just so charismatic. And he's going out there, he's looking at crowd members like, who's the man? Who's the man? And he's like shaking his, who's the man? And all the crowd's like, you're the man. And like, yeah, he is the man. I'm in. And like, he's just had so much charisma. And I know people look at his promos in WCW is like, oh, he really botched that promo or whatnot. But he cut some like promos when he's walking to the ring where I'm like, I'm fired up. Like, we need a Sid Vicious. Like, there was one I saw where he's like, I walk down this path and all I see are the bodies of the opponents I beat and the skulls that they leave. And that's why they call me Psycho Sid. And I was like, yeah, let's go. We need somebody like that in pro wrestling. I watched the WWE Vault as a godsend. I watched the WWE Vault, and they had this compilation of his time in ECW. And I was like, I got to see this.
Mm.
And he was booked to perfection in ECW because
right?
he only had like one match.
Yep.
All he did was, it would be a match. It'd be like little Guidos in there. It maybe be at the FBI that's in there, and maybe it's somebody else. And then all of a sudden, the Scorpion song hits. They did mute it out in the vault, which sucked, but I knew what it was playing. It's like the Scorpion song hit, and there's Psycho Sid. There's Judge Jeff Jones going like, I sentence you to guilty as charged. And then Sid comes out and he's like, like, walks in, he choke slams people. He gives this like gnarly looking choke slam to people on the side, hitting the apron into the table. And that's all you needed to do with Psycho Sid. He was awesome. I love Psycho Sid. Go watch his squash match in 1989. I think the wrestler's name was Lee Scott. And,
in WCW.
Incredible. All-time great squash. Like, he just throws him over the ring. It was awesome.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think back, unfortunately, one of the things you think of, right, is the broken leg, which was disgusting.
Yep.
I don't think he had, I mean, he was a terrible wrestler. So,
yes. Oh, you can't go more than 5 minutes with Sid Vicious, but that wasn't what made him special, right? Like, that was.
No, it wasn't. It just became like, if you're going to try and put him in some main events, like, what are you going to do? Yep. Right? Like, so you need to figure it out. And one of the things, I think if you go back and look at some of his greatest matches, just look at the opponents, right? Like,
yep.
I think the 97 Rumble match was decent. Mm-hmm. And who is it against? Of course, Shawn Michaels, who carried him to, a great match. But it wasn't about the matches being great. It was about, as you said, how he was booked. And man, he was like, if people know 911 in ECW.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. He was booked just like that.
He was just a bigger, better version of 911.
Yep.
With more charisma and
way more charisma.
Yeah. And that's how Paul Heyman booked him.
Yeah. And it was perfect. Like, people need to go watch that, because literally all it is, he just shows up, he beats people up, and then he comes back and he goes, who's the man? I'm the man. I'm the man. Like, and that's it. Like, it was great. There was a scene, it was at the pay-per-view. I think it was Guilty as Charged, where Taz is there anybody that's man enough to come out and face me? And then Judge Jeff Jones comes out. It's like, I know a man that can face you. And here comes Sid Vicious, like, is there anybody man enough? And like holding the hand up. It's just like, he's such a vibe guy.
So that's a yes for the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. I love, like, I'm telling you, we need, in terms of just pure vibes, charisma, look, we need a Sid Vicious in pro wrestling so badly.
Okay.
And he doesn't have to have these lawn matches. So
I'm not going to get too bogged down on the WrestleMania stuff. No. The Hall of Fame stuff. But well, Sid Vicious is a yes. Dennis Rodman.
Yes.
That's a no for me.
He did pop a big pay-per-view number with Karl Malone. It was one of the final big pay-per-view numbers in '98 before WCW went on its downfall.
Was that at Road Wild?
I don't think it was Road Wild. I'm trying to remember the show, but it was that tag match, and he's getting paid so much money. And then he just didn't show up, and he still got paid. Like, that's just WCW for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a big deal at the time, because he was skipping out on practices while the Bulls were competing for the championship wrestling WCW.
But I guess because I don't like him or respect him, it's not that I respect the WWE Hall of Fame, but
right.
I just don't need to see the Dennis Rodman stuff.
Yeah.
Stephanie McMahon, AJ Styles, Demolition, the other ones that are in right now.
That pay-per-view match you were mentioning, by the way, with Malone, it was at Bash at the Beach 98. The Road Wild match you're thinking of is Randy Savage in a hardcore match in 1999
against Dennis Rodman.
Yes.
With all the bikers there. Yeah, it was just awful.
Road Wild on Cage Match, as I'm looking through, out of 10, it's at a 2.92 on Cage Match. A lot of people did not like Buff Bagwell versus the Cat on this pay-per-view card.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah. A lot of looking through some of these matches, like, oh boy.
Yeah.
That is
not very good. And just that match in particular, just so clumsy and awkward and like everything you wouldn't want to show a fan of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
So sticking with the WWE though, we'll talk a little bit about WrestleMania. I know there's been a bit of an injury here that has thwarted maybe their plan, but to me, this is, Zach, one of the biggest fails in a very long time. Gunther hasn't been on TV in like 3 weeks. What are they doing with Gunther at WrestleMania? The guy who retired John Cena, the guy who retired AJ Styles in like what, 6 weeks, 7 weeks of each other?
Yep.
You couldn't carve out a path to WrestleMania better than that. He retired John Cena. He won the tournament, retired Cena. Then he retired AJ Styles. And now what is he going to do? And they have nothing for him. Now, again, as I prefaced it, it sounded like the idea was going to be Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio injured. But even that idea wasn't thrilling to me, and was probably the third, like Rey Mysterio, all-time great, but is well past anything. I mean, we talk about ECW, and the guy was in ECW with Psychosis and Juventud Guerrera and
Dean Malenko,
Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko and Chris Jericho and like all of those guys in the mid 90s. Well, guess what? In 2026, he's probably close to retiring. So like, do you really need Gunther to do that? And is it a WrestleMania moment? Of the three, unfortunately, Ray's probably third behind AJ Styles and John Cena.
Yep.
At least right now in 2026, for the impact that Gunther retiring him would have had. Well, he's not going to do that anymore. I ask you, what is he going to do, Zach?
Man, I would have told you it was Rey Mysterio. Now at this point, I'm like, I really don't know what he's going to be scheduled to do. I worry. My biggest fear is that he's going to be put in that Andre the Giant Battle Royal and he wins it just so that they could have him do something and win something. You know what I mean? That's my biggest fear with him.
Well, they don't have a plan. He's not even on TV. Like,
I agree.
I don't know. So to me, it sounds like it would still be the plan for Gunther to retire Brock Lesnar in Minneapolis in the summer.
Yep.
Brock Lesnar on Spitting Chicklets talking about a number of things, but one of the things that he's not here for a long time, and his legacy is his kids, and he wants to be there, and the other stuff doesn't really mean that much to him, like titles and accomplishments and all that stuff. And by not a long time, it probably means the summer. And then he's gone. So if you're going to have Gunther do that to him, what? I don't know. I just don't know what they're doing with Gunther right now. And I don't The fear is that they don't know what they're doing with Gunther right now.
Yeah. I feel like the focus is on a lot of other things. Reminds me when I was watching a clip recently of Jim Cornette talking about trying to push the Patriot, and he's in the creative meeting and he doesn't want to be there. And it's like, oh, we got the Patriot here. We're trying to debut him. I like this guy. And what are we going to do with him? But the creative team is like, oh, well, we're all focusing on other things. He specifically mentions Sonny. And it's like, oh, we got to focus on this, right? That's what it kind of feels like in a way where it's like, we have this guy in Gunther that he's beaten two of our biggest guys. We got to find a focus for him. But the creative team's like, well, what about if Damian Priest and R-Truth win the tag titles on Raw? Like, how do we get that to that finishing line? It's like, guys, we have bigger priorities right now. We don't need to worry about R-Truth winning the tag team championship. What are we doing with Gunther? So it's very frustrating because I was liking the angles that they were doing with Gunther, like him beating Cena. You and I were like, oh, this is the finish that we liked. And obviously it wasn't the reaction they thought that they were going to get, shockingly, but it was, I was like, oh, there's a lot that they could work with here in terms of this finish and build up Gunther. And they have just, other than the AJ Styles stuff, it's really just stalled out, so.
Yeah, that came up quickly, the AJ Styles stuff. And then they beat AJ Styles too. And then you're like, okay, like there's a full path for him in 2026 to have a big WrestleMania moment and then retire Brock Lesnar. And maybe they thought it was going to be Rey Mysterio and they didn't have plan B. But to me, one of the biggest focus guys in the whole company, they have just left behind here. And I just find that inexcusable to not, when you have a guy like that, you got to have plan A, B, and C to be able to make sure that he is going to be showcased. What do you think of the Brock Lesnar Obafemi stuff? Locked in now to WrestleMania.
I like it. I will love it if Obafemi beats Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I do like the way that they're putting him over, and it's clear you could tell in a lot of the buildup that's like Brock has been like, there was the initial one where he hit the power bomb on Brock and he's standing over him and you could see Brock, look up and say, step on me or stand on me or whatever. And he puts his boot onto Brock and is like, that's a guy that gets it. However you feel about Brock, and I certainly have my feelings about Brock, he is somebody that gets it when it comes to pro wrestling. And then this past Monday, you saw him like he's trying to beat up Oba, but then Oba like knocks him out and Brock takes this like over the top rope bump and like, again, continues to be a guy that's an underrated seller because you don't expect that from a guy his size. So they've been putting over Oba a lot and trying to make him seem like a legitimate, credible threat.
Don't you think that they're doing that because, or I'll ask it a different way.
Sure.
You think the right thing to do is to have Obafemi beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Because of the kind of wrestler that he is in Obafemi. I'll compare and contrast with a guy like Kyle Fletcher. Okay. Kyle Fletcher is somebody that, like, I think it's both our guys that are like, you see that they have a lot of upside in their respective companies. Both these guys, I think there are certain segments of their fan base that would say, yes, that's a guy that can be a future star in our company that we cheer for. Mm-hmm. I think there's a comparable there. What's different about them, obviously, is their wrestling ability. Because Obafemi, like, you could still see in some elements that he's a bit green in some parts. Mm-hmm. And he's been in that system for a long time. He's had some solid matches I've heard in NXT. I refuse to watch that program. So, I mean, that's, how my feelings on that. I have a bone to pick about Le Champion trying to force me to watch NXT Stand and Deliver somehow, some way. But in the case of Obafemi, he's a guy that's powerhouse. He has to be dominant. He has to be a guy that you go out there and you look at, he's this physical, commanding presence. That's how they're booking him right now against Brock Lesnar. Into the case of Kyle Fletcher, he's more a pure in-ring wrestler. And even in a loss, his matches, you're like, wow, that's still like, he lost, but he's still one of the best wrestlers in the world. And I'm still locked in. So in my mind, when it comes to Obafemi, he is somebody that, like, it'd be one thing if you can get a rematch with Brock, but I don't think that's happening. If they're going to do another Brock match. I think to me, you want to make a statement. I continue to bang the desk on it. Like, to me, Obafemi has to win when you have these kind of styles clashing against each other. Because if you're going to establish him as this dominant presence and saying he can beat some of the best, he's right there with Brock. Why not just beat Brock? Right? Like you have that visual.
The answer to that question is that if Brock's going to retire in the summer, should he not be going over in the meantime so that it's bigger when somebody beats him to retire?
I've seen that argument. My counter is we saw what happened with John Cena, where he's lost in his matches, but he was still over. And I know he's not the same kind of wrestler as Brock. And that was more kind of creative outline. I think it'll be okay if Brock loses to Obafemi. I really do.
Okay.
Because Brock, you can reestablish him next night. Like if he's a guy that if Obafemi beats him next night on Raw or whenever the match is going to be, the 2 nights after the first night of WrestleMania, whenever they do the match, all you have to do with Brock to get him reheated is have him go out there and be so pissed that he lost his match that he takes out the ring crew. He like tears apart like the announce table. For my personal pleasure, he F5s Michael Cole in the ring like he did a couple years ago. Then he does it again for good measure. And then Michael Cole can't call the rest of Monday Night Raw to really sell it. And I can have a break for my ears. Like there's a lot you could do. Like you could reheat Brock that next night and have him be like, wow, he lost and he is pissed that he lost. And you establish it right away after that, in my mind. With Oba, it's much tougher because you don't know much about Obafemi afterwards. Can he reheat himself?
But you don't
afterwards?
think that the lead up here where he's gotten the best of Brock Lesnar twice and maybe pushes Brock Lesnar to the absolute brink that nobody's kind of been able, like even John Cena got squashed by Brock Lesnar twice, that Obafemi pushes Brock Lesnar way more than John Cena ever did, and then just loses to him at the very end, that he still can't be over the next night, and the crowd stands up and appreciates the effort of Obafemi standing toe to toe with a guy like Brock Lesnar?
See, I will go to New Japan with this example. Okada can take it right to Tanahashi, but he loses. But the thing that really takes him over the top and makes him be the top star is that he eventually beat Tanahashi. We're not talking long-term here with Oba and Brock. Like, this is something with these two guys where Oba's not going to get another chance against Brock. So I'm looking at it in the future where, let's say Obafemi, like, you envision Oba as this top guy. And down the line, it's like, oh, he's a big star, but he's not Brock Lesnar. I mean, like, you remember Brock Lesnar? He just dominated. Heck, he dominated that guy. And Brock was like 48, and Obafemi was just getting into the business. He's not a guy. But you could totally change that mindset of, oh, yeah, Obafemi, like, he's that guy. Like, Brock Lesnar, he was great during his time, but, like, he was just no match to Obafemi. You could shift a thought process in terms of how people think about a guy, just how they book a guy. They won't remember, oh, he went toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar. Sometimes they just remember the results, especially with those two. It's like, so people will remember Brock beating Oba at the end. It's like, they won't remember this valiant effort, like this Steve Austin locked in the sharpshooter against Bret Hart. I'm really throwing out the references today. Jeez. Steve Austin getting locked into the sharpshooter with Bret Hart, and like he lost, but he was valiant and he had the crimson mask and whatnot. That doesn't really fit the vibe of Obafemi and the way that he's pushed.
Okay, so let me throw out another scenario then to you.
All right.
Since they have nothing for Gunther right now, what if Obafemi retired Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam?
I would like that.
Lost to him at WrestleMania. They booked the rematch. And Brock Lesnar's so confident that he's just going to beat him again that he throws out that my career. God, this will be so easy again. Maybe he squashes Obafemi at WrestleMania. And Obafemi wants another shot. He's like, oh, it's so easy. I'll, put my career on the line against it. My hometown, like, yeah, I'm going to wipe the floor with you. And then Obafemi beats him. And now you got two career killers, Obafemi and Gunther.
I don't love that. I don't love it.
Okay. They got nothing for Gunther right now anyway.
Yep.
So I agree with you. The goal of this is to make Obafemi, whether I like him or not, a big star.
Yep.
So how do you go about doing that? He's already got the best of Brock Lesnar twice, but I don't know that Brock Lesnar is just going to go out and retire and just lose to everyone along the way. Like he's going to come back and then just lose at WrestleMania and then lose at SummerSlam and lose everywhere. Like that's how Brock Lesnar's
that's where
going
that
out.
in-between period comes in, right? Like that's where that in-between period where you can really reheat him up.
Okay.
And at this point, it's not like you're having Brock Lesnar past 2026, it sounds like. You're having Brock Lesnar for the remainder. You're not having Brock Lesnar, 2027, 2028, 2029.
No.
You're having him for this stretch. And this stretch right now, I feel it's more important to have somebody like Obafemi, however we feel about Obafemi, as you mentioned, because I don't know if he can be that guy, but I will at least appreciate with WWE, they have focused in on a guy and said, okay, we're going to lock in and we're going to do something with them. And now he's in a prominent spot against one of the biggest names in the company, and he's going to have a featured match at WrestleMania. I can at least appreciate that because they desperately need to have some fresh matches.
Yeah.
And at least there's some intrigue for me of like, okay, can Obafemi step up to the plate in a match against Brock Lesnar? So I will commend them on that. But this is the stretch right now of trying to put over your next generation talent because Lee, your Cody Rhodes aren't going to last that, forever. Your Seth Rollins are not going to last forever. All of their main event guys, Punk, Roman, Seth, I think is over 40. Cody's over 40. A lot of your main event are over 40. They need some fresh new faces badly. Whether that be Braun Breaker, whether that be Obafemi, whether it be whoever else is coming up through the system, they need some faces to kind of get ready so that they could get ready for that transition out of those guys. Like, okay, we have this crop of guys that are coming up that could fill the void. So I don't think you have to be that concerned with Brock taking a loss now because you're not worried about Brock Lesnar long term. You're worried about Obafemi long term as your top star. That's how I kind of view it.
Okay. What else was I going to ask you about? Randy Orton. So Randy Orton has now got on the bat phone and said that there isn't just one royal family. We discussed this a little bit before, did we not?
Maybe like a passing aside, yes.
Who was he on the phone with? And I think we probably decided it wasn't his dad. Like the Ortons aren't just, and you made a Ted DiBiase getting acquitted joke, Junior.
Yes. Bob Orton's not coming back with a cast and like, I did this to the Undertaker, I can do this to you.
And then there are some people that think it might be The Rock with being on the phone, having the Cody stuff, having sort of the power, the bloodline, all of that stuff.
Yep.
But I saw this suggestion in the last couple of days, and I thought it was interesting. What if Randy Orton was on the phone with the McMahon?
Oh, God. Oh, no. You talking like Shane McMahon?
Probably.
Yeah. Shane O'Mac? Oh, man.
Maybe to get Vince back in at some point down the road. Stephanie's going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. If it's Shane McMahon.
Just weirdly, I've seen a couple of other stories on people reflecting on their time with Shane McMahon, which has no relevancy at all to me.
Yeah.
Like, because most of the wrestling stories that I see, I'm like, this isn't a story. This is somebody just musing for no reason.
Right.
Yes. So I'll ask you who you think is on the phone. Who is another royal family that Randy Orton could be referring to? And do you think it's possible that Shane McMahon is on the other line.
Well, now that you've laid it out with a Stephanie McMahon induction, and Shane McMahon was at one of the WrestleManias a few years back before he tore his quad trying to do a leapfrog in that Snoop Dogg segment. Still can't believe that was a segment that actually happened on WWE TV. I can't rule out Shane McMahon because I still believe this, that they'll find a way to reintroduce Vince McMahon onto television somehow, some way. And that certainly would be a starting point for that. Stephanie McMahon, quite honestly, is a starting point for that. You just do these slow acceptances. We also saw Vince McMahon show up in John Cena's retirement speech. They put his clip in there in the little video package. They're doing a lot of stuff to kind of get people prepared for when he eventually shows up.
I'm just asking you who's on the bat phone.
This idea popped in, and I'm half serious when I'm saying it, but also half joking. NXT has a stable of people that are second generation, third generation wrestlers that they have just formed. No. Randy Orton might need to lead the next generation, Lee. So why not get Brian Pillman Jr. your wing and get him ready for the big time, brother? And see what he's able to do.
Stop.
All right.
If they do this in the WrestleMania main event, it'll be worse than Travis Scott coming down, and that is saying a lot. I don't know who's on the phone. I really don't. Could it be Shane McMahon? Could it be The Rock? I think those are the two.
I would think Shane McMahon more than The Rock, because I feel like if you're bringing in The Rock, with the way that the ticket sales are right now, I think you're making it abundantly clear it's The Rock that's showing up at WrestleMania. Yep. So unless they do announce that on one of the television programs coming up, I can't see it being The Rock. I could buy into a Shane McMahon argument. I saw the clip. Apparently Ted DiBiase Jr. made a joke as like, when will we next see you? And he said August 19th, which is the date of night 2 of WrestleMania, which I'm like, well, Ted.
April 19th.
Yeah, April 19th. Sorry, I think I said May.
You said August.
August. Oh boy. That's a lot. That's a lot.
I'm like SummerSlam. Hey, Ted DiBiase Jr. SummerSlam. Let's go.
Yeah. April 19th. My bad. And he said April 19th. And well, Ted, first of all, it's probably gonna be a night 1 main event, and April 19th is on a Sunday, so you probably have to readjust your flight plans after you won your trial case if you are going to show up. So I saw him throw that out there. That would certainly be a person that would show up. And there's certainly the connection with Legacy, Lee. And that's the story, right?
Is that a royal family?
DiBiase? No.
What's royal about that? You're not the only royal family around here, Cody. What?
That's true.
It's not royal.
No. I mean, technically, the DiBiase's had a lot of money.
Okay, it's the WrestleMania main event. I know I'm going to give them credit where they don't deserve it, but we're not talking about Ted DiBiase Jr. With Randy Orton in the main event against Cody Rhodes. To me, I don't know. I just think that it feels like something much bigger when you say that.
Yeah.
Like I'm even trying to put together, like, is there a Jericho royal family? Is there Kevin Owens with something? But I think it's even got to be bigger than that. Yeah. The Rock and Shane McMahon, to me, are two of those people. That's all.
Yep. Fair enough.
Move on to something else, some sad news, but certainly worth talking about. 74 years old, Dennis Condrey passed away after battling cancer a couple of times in the last few years. Founding member of the Midnight Express. And I have to tell you that the Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll Express, and to a lesser extent, the Fantastics were, I guess, my first getting into other things that weren't the WWF that I was like, holy cow. Like there is a lot of action going on in these matches, as opposed to the Big John Studs and the Hogans and the King Kong Bundys and the Kamalas and like, you know what I mean? Like just my introduction into the 80s and Hogan. And when I was trying to explore and just finding out different, different federations and that I really enjoyed pro wrestling, the Midnight Express jumped off of the page to me when I watched them. And when you've heard a lot of people talk about Dennis Condrey, man, there's a lot of praise for him. A lot of praise for him because of not just, how good he was in the ring, but his mind for the world of professional wrestling. What's the first thing you think of when you think of like the original Midnight Express and Dennis Condrey?
When I think Dennis Condrey, I think rugged. He's somebody that when you watch him, you can't really say. Initially, I was going to come into this when we were talking about Dennis Condrey and say he was such a smooth wrestler, especially for his time. And you just watch the way that he bumps in the ring and he goes into spots and just like, he was so smooth. But then you kind of like, it's like, smooth is like, it's not the right word either. Like he's just a rugged pro wrestler. It just looked good. It looked like it was a fight, And
how about this word? How about this word then?
Sure.
He was polished.
Yes. Polish is a great one.
As a guy, like, as you said, smooth is not the right word. He wasn't silky smooth.
No.
He was rugged. He was like a fighter. Like it wasn't all just slick pro wrestling moves.
Yeah.
But man, he was so good. So polished.
So good. Yeah. Polished is a great way to put it. And it's funny with him because it's like, he's an all-time great tag team wrestler. No, very easily an all-time great tag team wrestler. And it's that Midnight Express team. Like there's been a bunch of different combinations. Like, as you mentioned, he was a founding member. It was him and Randy Rose first as the initial Midnight Express. And then later on, it ended up being Bobby Eaton. And then it becomes a debate of like Bobby Eaton, I think for a lot of people is like the best member of Midnight Express. And then you could alternate between Dennis Condrey and Sweet Stan Lane on who is your favorite pairing. And both brought something different. Like I felt like with Sweet Stan Lane and Bobby Eaton, they were more on the smooth side. They were great workers too. And I love that version of the tag team. But with Dennis Condrey, it felt more like when you would watch them in like the Mid-South era, they were fitting that Bill Watts style of more of the rugged type and just these guys that are just going out there and being polished. And it felt like a
bit more thug-like, and maybe that's too strong a word, but you're right. Stan Lane had that slickness to him.
Yes.
Where he wasn't like this brute that if you got caught in an alley with Stan Lane, you were not coming out. Where maybe if you got caught in an alley with Dennis Condrey, maybe you weren't coming out.
Yeah, that's right. So it's really just dependent on which style of tag team that you like. And I really like going back and watching that Condrey and Eaton and Jim Cornette's the manager, like going back in that Mid-South style. And it's funny with Dennis Condrey, like there was a time where he just randomly disappeared off the face of the earth. It's like, how can a guy like with that sort of talent just all of a sudden disappear? But he disappears off the face of the earth. He goes to like Colorado or whatever. He marries his wife. And then he just kind of reappeared. Everyone's like, oh, I thought you were dead. Like you didn't talk with anybody. He's like, oh no, I just left the wrestling business and I did my own thing. And now I'm back. I'm here to wrestle some matches. And then I think really for a lot of people that go back and watch WCW style, because it's hard to believe, Lee, but like as we get a little bit more forward, people don't really look back on the territory style as much. So a lot of that early 80s style, which is really some of the best years of Dennis Condrey and Bobby Eaton, like that doesn't get looked at as much, but people need to go back and watch those matches. I think for a lot of people, it's later on in 87 when it's the new Midnight Express versus the original Midnight Express. Paulie Dangerously brings those guys in, and it's like that feud comes in for.
He doesn't even work here. He doesn't even work here.
Exactly. Like getting on the phone, like Cornette's getting on the phone. It's like, what do you mean? Like it's great. Like people really need to go back and just watch a whole bunch of, because it is like they are the personification of Southern tag team wrestling
Yeah.
in my mind. Like when you think of Southern tag team wrestling, it's the Midnight Express. Just tremendous heels over wherever they went. And Dennis Condrey, a big part of that. And I think he would be like, it's funny because a lot of people, rightfully so, talk about him as this all-time great tag worker, and they are absolutely correct. But imagine if he lasted just a little bit longer, just as pay-per-view was really coming into the fold and TV was really becoming prominent in pro wrestling. I think you'd have a lot more people talk about Dennis Condrey in a much more, as opposed to like guys like us that just like we watch the tapes and we like to go back and watch that stuff. Dennis Condrey would be a lot more talked about in the sphere, because I think when people talk about Midnight Express nowadays, I do think they talk about Stan Lane and Bobby Eaton more than they do Condrey and Eaton. But Condrey absolutely needs to be mentioned in that conversation of all-time great tag worker.
Yeah, you said it properly there, where the reason that they were so good, a little bit more flashy with Stan Lane and Bobby Eaton, but the reason they were so good, especially with Condrey there, was that they were like thugs that were going to kind of beat you. But if you wanted to wrestle, and when you put up the Rock and Roll Express, or you put up the Fantastics, or you put up somebody else about them, as a fan, you're like, yeah, they're bad guys and I hate them, but man, they might be able to beat the Rock and Roll Express too, because they're that good.
Yeah.
And they had that, yeah, they're badasses and they do some bad things. But at the end of it, in a 30-minute match, they could beat the top teams, because even fans knew they were that good. They weren't just guys to come in and beat you up and leave you laying. And then when you go into a 10, 15-minute match, they can't go, and then they're going to lose.
Right.
No, that's not what's going to happen. And again, we talked about Tony Khan and, Mid-South Tony and all of that stuff. This goes right back into that era. And for me, as a fan growing up, when I was starting to look outside of the WWF, right around WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 2, so like 85, 86, because I'd, watched a lot of WWF. The AWA was on like the very early TSN, like from ESPN back at like sometimes at 6 a.m. before school would start. And I would see people come through the AWA, and, you start to, when I went to Maple Leaf Gardens, you'd start to hear things and see things about, like, there's another wrestling promotion that comes in here called the NWA. And, I got some pretty big matches that are also happening at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yep.
And when I started to find out that there was more to the wrestling world when I was 10, 11, some of the first impressions I have are Ric Flair, and then the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, the Fantastics, and just going, this is like nothing I've ever seen before, because I'm just used to these, 5, 6, 7-minute, like Hogan wins a world title by getting beat up by the Sheik and backs him into the turnbuckle and dropped a leg and he beat him.
Yep.
For the world title.
Right.
Like, and you look back on the history now and you go, oh, it's pretty cool, but it was also WrestleMania 1. It's at Madison Square Garden, and Muhammad Ali is there as a referee, and, but Mr. T's in the main event with Hulk Hogan, like off the Rocky stuff. And you're like, yeah, they're not doing that stuff over here at the NWA. Like, they're doing these 30-minute, 40-minute tag matches that are crazy.
Yeah.
And I love them. And it just brought me back, hearing about the passing of Dennis Condrey. It brought me back to that time, and it makes me want to go back, and I will go back and watch some more of that stuff, because it helped me learn. Dennis Condrey would be one of the people that helped me learn that there was more out there. So I think
hard to believe that Dennis Condrey and Bobby Eaton are no longer with us.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. People talk about wrestlers and not being there anymore, and wrestlers die young, and but that's also like a lot of people talk about because they use steroids and they
right.
Like, no, not all of them did.
Nope.
Some of them not in like great shape because of that they just drank on the road all the time. But
I was just gonna say is like that's a whole different episode in terms of steroids, and like a lot of that was more life on the road. Steroids certainly didn't help, but it was, life on the road, and just the schedule of the WWF, especially during that time, was just so like working these double shots on a whole bunch of nights and not barely seeing time to have family. Like that's a whole different thing. But like with guys like, it is just crazy where in terms of like Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey, the case of Dennis Condrey was 74. And the way that like I was listening into the Cornette episode, him talking about his passing and what he had learned, he just like his wife was working at the nursing home and Condrey just fell awkwardly and it ended up like hitting his neck the wrong way. And just like, that was it. It's just crazy how like a guy that's like taken so many bumps over his lifetime, like it's the one time that he falls, it is just, that's the case. In the case of Bobby Eaton, like he had been battling some stuff before that too. So it's just kind of crazy that as time just continues to move forward, right? On a lot of these guys. So
not switching gears, but I do want to go back a little bit to AEW to close. So one of the weird things that happened, of course, on that Dynamite that we were talking about that was just so odd was that before the show, and they let it out on social media a little bit before, the Toni Storm had been attacked.
Yes.
And that Mina Shirakawa was going to end up fighting Marina Shafir on the show. So a couple things. It seems like, number one, that Toni Storm's going to be gone for all of 2026. And according to Dave Meltzer, they only found out about this like on the day of, and they came up with something.
Yep.
But also not related to an injury. That's worrisome for me. With Toni Storm. Like Ronda Rousey just came back. And now reports circulating that Ronda Rousey is kind of one and done with AEW. That maybe she would have fought Toni Storm, but she's not going to fight Toni Storm because Toni Storm is not available for all of 2026. Then what's she really going to do? And then she's out.
Yeah.
Two pretty big dominoes. Does that make you worry about Toni Storm a little bit? Like, how is she out for 9 months if it's not an injury angle, unless she's pregnant?
I was just going to say, I think on looking at a positive slant, I think she just might be pregnant, and they just figured it out and said, "Oh, that's the case. Well, you're off the road. Enjoy your time off, and raise your child, and then we'll cross that road again with you when you come back, whatever it may be, late in 2027 or whatever." So that's how I kind of interpreted it.
Okay.
I was like, okay,
that's what it sounds like to you too?
Yeah. That's what it sounded like to me. I obviously, hopefully it's not anything worse than that, but that's what it kind of screamed to me. So I think they're being like, how reporting is, you kind of don't want the reporters to kind of reveal that. It's like respecting the privacy sort of deal. So that's how I kind of view it on that instance. So yeah, it did certainly come as a shock to me when I saw that news, because initially I think there was some speculation it was an injury. It's like, oh boy, like what was it that?
Yeah, exactly.
But then it came out, it's like, no, it's not injury related. It's like, oh well, that makes it a lot different. So yeah, it's hopefully he's all right. I'm gonna assume it's that until told otherwise. But in the case of Ronda Rousey, like it being a one-off, I still feel like that they probably had some plans in the future with her and Toni Storm.
Yeah.
But I think that popped up, and you could make the argument because of course she's going to have the fight with Gina Carano, that she's going to have to get into a fight camp and get ready for that. So it's probably not going to be a wrestling match. Probably wasn't going to be a wrestling match before the fight. But nonetheless, like I think they still could have found something after the match. But now it's a one and done. It was something to get some name value and whatnot on the pay-per-view. Right. And
yeah, so it's a little bit lessened for me from the show. Like it was great to see her at the show and a hell of a surprise.
Yep.
But that nothing's going to be followed up on is a bit disappointing, but I understand. So kind of my last question about this with you is, do you think the AEW women's division can survive a year? I mean, they're going to survive, but can they be as good, or do they suffer because Toni Storm is out for the year?
It's always bad. It's always going to be a hit when you have a talent like Toni Storm be not available for your division. So they're certainly going to feel a hit from it, but I think they'll be fine with the talent that they have in that women's division. And they're still waiting back on Mercedes Moné to come in. Like Mercedes Moné, I think could carry that division once she comes back. So it is certainly lost. Like any wrestling promoter that's like losing a top name associated with your roster, that's always going to be a hit. But you're going to get a top name coming back pretty soon in Mercedes Moné once she's done dropping all the belts. Still kind of funny is like, what are they going to do with all these belts that she's won? It's like, oh, she's actually just going to go back to the promotions and she's going to drop them and they're just going to move on. It's like, good on her for doing that. But yeah, it's like she's coming back. And I think the talent level of the women's division is like, it's got Tekla that's there. Chris Statlander in terms of in-ring, I think is still very strong. You still got the brawling birds that's still there. Like there's some talented women's there.
Yeah, there are. But Toni Storm brought the division to another level, right? Like and when Toni Storm lost the belt to Chris Statlander, she was still the feature.
Yep.
She was still the number one woman, regardless of the belt. So yeah, there's some talented women there, but boy, I look at it, Zach, and I go, there's Mercedes Moné. And I think Tekla has done a decent job at sort of elevating herself past that, I don't want to call it the mid-card status, because I think a lot of the women are in that mid-card status and not to Toni Storm's level. I think she's done a good job at sort of separating herself from the group. But I look at that division right now and I go, well, there's a lot of, what's the word? There's a lot of talent there, but it has not been, it's not
next
sort of
level.
Yeah, it hasn't been put to the point where you're like, oh yes, like everything is clicking now. Like with Toni Storm, she just hit another level.
Right.
I think right now there's Mercedes Moné, who is like one of one. There's Tekla, who I would call a 2. And then there's a big gap to me of kind of everybody else. And I wonder, can a couple other women get up there and be, like what match in AEW in the women's division would you absolutely be paying to see right now?
I'm probably thinking Mercedes Moné has to be in that match.
Well, she has to be.
Yeah. I would love to see another Mercedes Moné Willow Nightingale match, because I think those two have just great chemistry.
Okay.
In ring wise, Moné and Statlander, but let's just avoid the promos going into the match. Like those are, it would be cool to see Moné versus Tekla. but I don't know if that's like drop
could
your
they
wallet
do
or
it with
anything.
Monet being like that kind of young bucks down on her luck because lost everything, and Tekla's now taken over the division. She's the world champ.
Yeah.
She decides, and people feel bad for Mercedes Monet that she's
Well,
kind
just
of
as
lost.
long as she's not going around being like, I'm bankrupt, I need money. Like, let's win this like
Yes.
duffel bag
No.
full of
Okay.
money.
I know you're
I know her
bitter
name's
about this.
Monet. Like, let's
You're
not lean in it too
you're
much.
bitter about this Young Bucks thing. I know.
I am.
I'm gonna try and get over that and say, is there something there where she loses all these titles and people start to have sympathy for her, and she becomes a face?
Potentially. I think there's a potential there for that.
I think with Toni Storm gone, that's the best route to go. I believe that. Because if you just build Tekla up, and you can build, see, to me, you can build what is her name? The new girl, it's off the top of my head, with Megan Bain.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I was just gonna say Megan Bain, but
but Megan Bain and the Australian girl who's now with her, and it's just escaping me at the moment. But
Lena Cross.
I think that there's a possibility of even elevating those two now to, we want more than tag gold. We want, we're a group, but we want some more belts here.
Yep.
And then Mercedes Monet, kind of as a face, is the one that's got to take on the Teklas, take on the Megan Bain and Scott. Like, what's her first name again?
Lena Cross.
Oh, Lena Cross. I'm saying Scott.
Yeah.
Lena Cross.
Yeah.
But Willow Nightingale is the only face you really have. Chris Statlander's just in this weird spot again.
Yeah. Well, here's a name that. So I think you're higher on her than I am, but in terms of star power, could be helpful.
All right.
Do you bring up the phone? You call the dental offices of Dr. Britt Baker, and you say, "Look, bygones be bygones. Whatever issues we had, we need some star power. We know you can bring the star power."
What are the issues, by the way? What are the issues, by the way?
Well, I mean, she went on pay-per-view and said that Serena Deeb sucked and went off the script a little bit, and then we haven't seen her since. She's like, "Oh, boring," tapping on the watch and like pick it up, and I was like, "Oh, that's somebody that doesn't seem happy to work there." And then it sounds like she rubs some people the wrong way backstage. That's just based off reports. I'm looking at it purely in ring. Britt Baker, like, I know she had the match with Thunder Rosa, but if I'm being honest, I think she's kind of coasted off of that match over the last couple of years.
Okay, I don't think that there's some Britt Baker classics that we're missing, but at the same time, she does have star power.
Yep.
If you combine Chris Statlander's wrestling ability and Britt Baker's star power, you'd have something. Yep. But right now, with Toni Storm gone, I think they have Mercedes Monet and a whole bunch of other people. And that's when I talk about it like that, I talk about star power, drawing power. Who's bringing people? I think Willow is starting to get there. Starting to bring people to see Willow Nightingale when they go to the events. But I think that there's Mercedes and Toni, and now Toni's gone for the entire year. So there's Mercedes when she gets back, but who else is bringing people to the arena? And would Britt Baker bring people to the arena? In the first few months, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Can she deliver in the ring after that? Well, we haven't seen her in a while. So,
and also, can she just stay motivated? Because I felt like that last run before she was off of TV for the longest time, it felt like it was pretty clear she was just not happy with her spot and just not motivated. And that can blow up a trust with the promoter, especially in the case of Toni. We can't say that Toni didn't try and push Britt Baker as a face of the division. There's a reason why I'm bringing her up as somebody that they could bring back for star power wise. Mm-hmm. I still feel like it's been self-inflicted with Britt Baker. But
maybe. Yeah. I mean, I
like
don't
it just
know any
feels like
difference.
I just feel like there's just an awkward tension there, and it's not because Tony has been not pushing Britt Baker. Feels like there's been a relationship that's
But then,
broken there,
okay, but then why is Tony paying her and not letting her go?
so that she doesn't go to WWE, because she does bring star power.
Well, if she
I don't
brings
agree
star
with
power,
it, just for the record.
if she brings star power and you're paying her, put her back on TV.
Yeah.
And if she does it again, then goodbye.
Yep.
I mean, you said goodbye.
I agree
to
with you, just for the record.
You said goodbye to CM Punk.
Yep.
Like, come on.
Multiple backstage fights and then finally.
Yeah, I know, but you said goodbye to
Perry.
CM. You said goodbye to CM Punk. CM Punk is a much bigger star than Britt Baker.
Yep.
So if you said goodbye to CM Punk because you just didn't like what was going on, you're paying Britt Baker to not be there. And now you're paying her because you're worried she's going to go there? Well, how about you bring her onto your show?
Yeah.
And if she does it again, then you just wipe your hands of it and say, good for her if she gets work with the WWE and becomes this big star. But we've tried twice and we've done the best we possibly can, and it wasn't on us.
Yep. I agree. I think there is a hesitancy because I think we saw in the past with other guys that are now in WWE where it's like Tony didn't want to let them go. Like, my feeling is that she had made it clear. This is just me speculating. I could be completely wrong on this. This is just based off the information and based off of patterns of the past, that he found out that Britt Baker had made her intentions clear that she's not renewing her contract with AEW and she wanted to go to WWE and maybe ask for her release. And Tony said, no, you're staying here. We're not going to, and we'll continue to pay you, but we can't risk having a big star power like that. And we're not going to put you on TV because we know we're going to lose you. And so we're not going to invest TV time and resources on you if we know we're just going to lose you in the end. I don't disagree. At some point, it's like, they are still your wrestler. You should still utilize them. Doesn't matter what they do in WWE afterwards, in my mind. But it's such a weird mentality. And it's not just AEW that has this mentality. Like, New Japan has been, like, they refused to push Gabriel Kidd for the longest time when he was there in New Japan because it was pretty clear he was going to go to AEW afterwards. So they're like, well, why are we going to push this guy if he's going to be gone in the next year? But he's still your guy, and he still brings something and some talking points. So, like, push the guy while you have him. And then if you know that he's not going to leave, it's like, all right, well, you're going to put over this person on the way out, wrap your, wash your hands. Like, thank you for doing business with us. Hopefully it goes well over there and you keep that, relationship mended, so that if what happens in the other company doesn't go well, the push isn't to their liking, they don't get showcase or whatever, they can, when it comes to the expiration of their contract, you could go back to, it's like, hey, we pushed it till the end. We're good with you, sort of deal. Let's talk business. That's how I kind of view it in the end.
Well, I mean, if that's true, this has been a long time that you've decided to do this, because as I look back now, since All In London in 2024, Britt Baker was only on TV twice after that. Matches against the aforementioned Serena Deeb in October 2nd, 2024, and then November 13th, she beat Penelope Ford on Dynamite. So she has not been on TV since November 13th, 2024. It's late March 2026. We're talking about a year and a half now. Yep. So, like, you've been paying her for a year and a half to not do anything, and you're scared that she's going to go over and be a bigger star? I don't know. Have you watched Mariah May?
Yes. It's not a guarantee.
Have you watched Powerhouse Hobbs?
Yeah.
Have
you been able to watch Powerhouse Hobbs? He's not been on TV.
No, you haven't. Have you watched Ray Phoenix?
Yeah.
You can't be that scared of it. Like, you can't be.
I agree. They shouldn't be. If anything, it's good on you, because it's like, I feel like that's enticing for talent that you're still pushing them all the way up to the end of their contract. But I don't know. It's weird how they think. I don't know if they just have this weird, like, there's this fear of like, I know it's going to sound silly, but wrestling business is a very silly business sometimes,
Mhm.
of just people like categorizing you and be like, oh, look at him, they're pushing him, but they know he's going to leave. Like, what a joke and whatnot. It's like, who cares about that? You know, like, push your guys or gals that are under contract to you and, you know, have them on TV. They're your guys till the end of the contract. And then if they don't sign, again, wash your hands, wipe your hands clean. It's like, all right, pleasure to do business with you. Maybe we'll do business with you again in the future. Doors open
Right.
here. I don't see what the issue here.
No, I
with
don't
that.
either. I
And
think
there was, and to be fair to all the promotion, like I mentioned, New Japan, AEW does this. WWE has done this in the past as well, where they're like, we're not going to let you go because we know you could go over to the other company. But one thing about Vince McMahon is that he recognized the talents that he let go, and Rusev and Malachi Black. Now Andrade's back again, and he's
Mhm.
being a good boy right now. We'll see later on once the push dies out. But, you know, those times he's like, oh, we'll give him. He got asked, like, are you worried about talent going over to AEW? He's like, oh, we'll give them more of them. And then they get caught up in all this talent coming in. And then you saw what happened with AEW during that stretch, where it's like these people that just didn't mesh well on the roster and or just didn't go as well. It's like there was a reason these guys weren't getting pushed.
So, and you know, just to put a cap on the discussion though, like
Yep.
it is a little bit different from WWE going to AEW or New Japan or somebody somewhere else, because they've made those stars and they feel like they're going to go help, whether they're right or not. They're still the number one company in the world, and they're going to go help the number 2 or the number 3 or the number 4 company with some star that they have already made.
Yep.
I don't know why New Japan, AEW, NWA, some of these other companies worry that they're going to let these talents go, because first of all, the track record, like I just went over, like these major stars that they've done nothing with.
Right.
And more importantly, most of the time, they change the gimmick, they change the characteristic, because WWE didn't want to take Ricky Starks.
Right.
So they, you know, it's Ricky Saints, but
Yep.
not the same guy. They've made, and my mind's going because we've gone so late again. But
Yes.
Mariah May's name in
Blake Monroe.
Blake Monroe. They basically take these talents and say, well, we're going to redefine them. We're going to redesign them. We're going to start new from a new foundation anyway. So why would AEW and New Japan and all these companies care that these people are going to go over? They're not going to be the same people anyway. And in the land of the WWE, it's like 1 of every 10 that actually hits. Like, yeah, Cody Rhodes left. Cody Rhodes became a massive star in the WWE. He had done some of the work already in his character and his music and his design and owning everything. And he had done some of that work beforehand. Like, but we're talking about Britt Baker. She's good. I like Britt Baker more than some do, more than you do. But it's still Britt Baker. It's not CM Punk. It's not Cody Rhodes. It's not these top stars. And we see what they do with them. Mariah May and Toni Storm had an incredible match in Mariah May's last match. And what Blake Monroe is doing in NXT right now, I have no idea, but she's irrelevant. And Ricky Saints, I know he's still in the NXT title picture, but I find him irrelevant.
Yep.
On that show. Let alone what Ray Phoenix and Penta and some of these others are doing. Powerhouse Hobbs that we haven't even seen since the Royal Rumble and on Stephanie McMahon's podcast. Like, they don't even have plans for them. What would tell you that you think they're going to stick Britt Baker all of a sudden in the main event against Rhea Ripley? Probably not. She hasn't even wrestled in a year and a half. My whole point to this is Britt Baker is a fairly big women's star for having not been in the WWE. And for the most part, you've made her. She did some work on her own before that, but you've made her. Use her. And if you don't want to use her, let her go.
Yeah.
And stop paying your hard-earned money to somebody that's not working for you. I don't understand.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes, I would bring Britt Baker back. If she can be in like an all-in match against Mercedes Moné, then she's big enough to come back to make a difference with Toni Storm gone. It's been another hour 45, Zach. We're not going to go 217 or any
221. Yeah.
But between some emails, between some random questions about Gunther, talking about Dennis Condrey, talking about Dynamite, talking about whatever came to mind today. It's been a pretty good show.
Yep. As Sid Vicious as well. I was able to give my Sid Vicious takes, and there's a lot. I think it's a wide-ranging, all-encompassing episode. I quite like it. I like when we can go into different realms. Like one moment we're talking 1984 Mid-South with Dennis Condrey. The next moment we're talking about Britt Baker returning to AEW.
Right.
So you never know with this podcast where it could go.
Femi should beat Brock Lesnar, but Dennis Condrey was better than Stan Lane.
That's right. Sid Vicious was awesome, but man, what about Femi? Like, what are we doing? Yeah, exactly. Like, what are we going to do with that? So yeah, no, I agree. But man, we really went at it. We went through a lot this episode. Yeah. I feel fired up afterwards.
I'm looking forward to watching Dynamite, hoping they can dig themselves out of the hole that they dug last Wednesday.
Yep.
And seeing what this Kenny Omega Swerve Strickland #1 contender EVP match, which I kind of thought they were building for the pay-per-view. And then they're like, no, it's happening next week on Dynamite. I'm like, what? Okay.
Sure.
All right. The super fan he'll explain it away to me and say, give me the 6 reasons why it's a great thing that they've done it like this. And he's like,
it's actually brilliant how they did this. If you followed this path, it's like, oh, well, that path I didn't know was even available.
Right. And that's how he always explains it. It's actually like really smart about how they've done it, because you see, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yes, you're the smartest super fan ever too. I know.
Ben. We rag on Ben a lot, but he is very good with the AEW stuff.
No, he's very. You know why I rag on him a lot? Because he is one of those like really educated guys.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't care about the WWE at all. Like he doesn't watch.
He does not.
Right?
He does not.
It's like AEW is the National Hockey League, and he's not watching the KHL. He's not watching.
Right.
He's not watching the American Hockey League. He's not. No. He's watching this.
He knows what he likes, and you know what? I can respect that.
Hey, Ben, WWE, NXT, TNA, New Japan, anything else?
Yes.
Nah. I got this Formula One thing to watch, and like half the cars make it, and then half the cars just stop because they fail along the way. It's really interesting though. You should watch it. Well, why? Like they start with 22 cars and like 12 of them don't even make it to the finish line. Not because they got in an accident, just because they just didn't make it. But it's really, you just don't understand, like with all the regulations.
Right.
That's what he does with AEW. You just don't understand like why the brilliance of it.
It's rather simple, really, when you put it like this. It's like, well, I guess, yeah.
The reason
is Sebastian Vettel still racing? I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Exactly.
Michael Schumacher.
Ayrton Senna back.
Yes, there you go.
So the reason I'm crapping on him a lot right now is because he did provide us with the suggestion that we did use for about 15 minutes talking about Hangman Page and his path back to the world title.
Yes.
I'd say thank you, but I wouldn't mean it. Ben. So
Got to
always
keep
good.
appearances up. We got to keep kayfabe around here. So
Yeah. Well, look, we are on the road to WrestleMania, and the calendar turns to April next week.
Yeah.
Zach, and we are really going to be on the road to WrestleMania, and we'll have a lot of stuff, obviously, with This Is Wrestling. As you heard at the beginning of the show, if you're still with us and you want to send an email, versagelee@gmail.com, you can reach out to Zach, reach out to the socials, and maybe we'll just begin the show with your emails like we did today with Richard and Postman Yan.
That's right. You never know. Send it in. We'll look at it, and it might turn into TIW Unreal as opposed to WWE Unreal, where we break down the creative pitches. That's
Emmy nominated. WWE.
Yes, that's right. Emmy nominated. Oh yes, three Emmys. Well, they finally got their Emmys, and it's for a show that's not about their program, not about the storylines, not the actual storylines they wrote, but how they wrote the storylines. That's where they get the sports.
It's
Emmy.
basically about the storylines about the storylines.
That's right. That's the one where it's like, oh, that's Emmy. That's Emmy worthy. And then the post that you sent me on it with the Observer, like the way they wrote, it's like, why is the Observer writing it like this? What's going on? Like,
I don't know.
yeah, they're like, congratulations to the. Why are you congratulating them? You're a news site. Like, what do you? What's your opinion out of this? But that's a whole other thing with the wrestling news ecosystem. It's just sad that it's the Observer that's doing that. It's like, come on, like you can't. Don't buy into the. I shared you the Jade Cargill one recently.
Yeah.
Where it's like it was so much to break down in that post. It was like it was from WrestleZone. I'm gonna call them out. It's WrestleZone.
It was incredible. It was incredible.
It was like Jade Cargill said that it was something about technical wrestling and how she moved away from technical wrestling. I'm like, I didn't even know she started. Like that's new to me. And as I was reading the article, I was like, oh, she's talking about working a hammerlock. I'm like, that's not technical wrestling. That's just basic ass wrestling. What are you talking about? And so, but that wasn't the worst part. It was like she moved away from technical wrestling and now learned to do a power bomb. And she said, I learned from Bryan Danielson, but the people that really turned it around for me were Booker T and Billy Gunn. I'm like, oh yeah, if I want to take lessons, I want it not from one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I want it from Billy Gunn, And so. And it was not only that, but then the WrestleZone post said, and clearly it's working for her. Is it? That's news to me as well. I guess they are right that it's WrestleZone news because it was news to me when I read it. Like I was like, oh, okay. But
no, it was one post with 19 things to unpack from the one post.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's this thing that's going on in wrestling news because they have to hit these certain engagement quotas. So they have to get rid of it and they're trying to appeal to people, but it just comes across like so inauthentic and not genuine and very much like a computer wrote it.
Yeah.
So it was something else when I read that. I was like, Jade Cargill got away from technical wrestling. When did she start doing technical wrestling? Like, I don't remember her putting on like a crossface or something like that. Like what's going
When did she ever wrestle at all?
I was gonna say, like that's news to me. So,
all right. Well, if it's news to you, it must be news.
That's true. Fair enough.
Well, we'll reconvene next week. I'm hoping to have some more game shows on the way.
Yeah,
some new ideas in the hopper here.
I might have some more time on my hands, Lee. The Golden Hawks are down 3-0 in their series.
No, Zach.
They might be eliminated on Friday. That's not looking good. Not great, but more time for me to record wrestling podcast if that's the case. So,
you know what, Zach? I don't want to say I'm happy about it, but I would say the benefits to OSN and TIW go up.
Yes.
And that's a compliment, right? If the benefits of those two things, OSN and TIW, go up because you have more time, it's got to be a compliment.
I will take it as such. Doesn't feel like it right now in the middle of the series. But
no, because Mr. Why are you saying congratulations yet? Woo, pom-pom, Trenton Golden Hawks. Woo, look at me. I'm a fanboy. I broadcast them on Milwaukee. Look at me. calling out the Observer for saying congratulations.
I know.
No, the Trent's down 3-0, just like Lee told me. Newmarket.
Yeah, but I don't get paid by the Observer, so that I feel like it's fair game. So.
If you feel like it's fair, then it must be fair. You know what? The fact that you're going to have more time on your hands, Zach, I don't think they're coming back from 3-0. Do you?
The way they played in Game 3, it's not looking great.
When was Game 3? Last night?
Last night. They lost 5-1 last night.
At home?
On the road. It was on the road. It's weird, the schedule that they have, because Game 1 was at home, but Games 2 and 3 were on the road.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But they have, if they win Friday, then they have another home game Sunday. But I mean, they might win Friday just to avoid the sweep and just keep the series alive. But that's
that is a little bit, because there's only one more game on the road, even though they're down 3-0, right? Like,
yep,
they could just win home game, so it's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah,
just because I thought Game 3 was at home, like a normal series, but apparently 2-3 was in Newmarket for some reason.
Yeah, it is very weird. I personally would not have booked it that way, but I believe the explanation I was told was that apparently, like, this is some small town stuff right here that you're going to appreciate.
This is going to be the Trenton rink wasn't available, and tell me why the
No,
Trenton
it's not
rink...
because the Trenton rink wasn't available. It's because the Newmarket rink wasn't available for certain times. Because apparently there's a Home and Garden show that's taking place, and that gets.
Well, why would Trenton have to, if they were the higher seed? Why did they have to give in to that?
Look, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that's just the reason I'm told, and you just got to live with the schedule that comes with it. Like with the back-to-backs with the Sens, like the multiple back-to-backs, you just have to live with it, and you got to overcome the odds. And right now, if you're an Ottawa Senators fan, they're doing that right now. So
they are.
And all that can be found on This Is OSN.
That's right. Ottawa Sports Now. This is OSN. Oh, no. Did I lose you here? No,
I'm still here. I'm still here. Yeah.
It can be. You're doing a fantastic job on the pre-games, the post-games. We got a good crew, and it's been fun. It's been one of those things that as the games have gone along, they become scoreboard watching becomes more fun. In fact, I just have it up here. That's why I thought I'd lost you. The Boston Bruins and the Buffalo Sabres tied at 1. I know that by the time people hear this, the game will be over, but that doesn't matter. The whole point is that we're scoreboard watching because it matters.
Yeah, this is Ottawa Sports Now, and we're doing it now as we're recording.
Throwing it out on the wrestling show, did I hit you with the time is now?
You did hit me with the time is now.
Yeah. So we're workshopping this for a name of a daily show.
I will not be renaming myself Jon Stewart, just for the record.
Okay. How about This Is the Time?
This is the time. Okay. See, I like that. I know you wanted the now branding in there.
I did, though, but the time is now. I think people will start saying the time is nigh and getting away from the John Cena stuff. That's my fear. I don't really care about the John Cena stuff. The time is now.
This is the time is now?
It wouldn't be all of that. It'd be either this is the time, like kind of this is the time.
Yep.
Or the time is now. It's either one of those. Just try to workshop it for people who, if you're still listening at the end, this is your Easter egg at the end.
That's right.
Help us name the Daily Show, because it does tie in. The time is now. Obviously, you could play the John Cena music.
Yep.
And a couple of people that I've asked said, well, you can't because the WWE. I'm like, if we're getting in trouble from the WWE and they're asking us to change the name of our Daily Show because they don't like it because the time is now is theirs, and like, I think we've established ourselves then. How about that?
So what you're saying is they can't see us, Lee. That's right.
I'm saying if they do see us, Zach, we're going to be okay.
Perfect.
They can't see us. Newmarket, they can't see Trenton. They're just blowing them out. Anyway, we've now hit the 2-hour mark. And for that, Zach, it is time to go.
That's right.
The time is not now. The time is
later.
Yes. Time is later.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Always great catching up with you. And we will do this again soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Glad we were able to get it in this week. And we'll see what the WrestleMania buildup brings us next week. Can't wait for that. Get fired up.
Don't you sound like Le Champion. Don't be like that. It's WrestleMania month and people are excited about it. We're going to try to help them with their excitement as well as poking holes that need to be poked.
Absolutely.
But we'll try to go with you on this WrestleMania month of April. For Zach McGibbon, I'm Lee Versage. Thanks for being with us on This Is Wrestling.